Hello YouTube, this is Frank from Architectural Aesthetics, and today in this video I present to you the second episode of our architectural mythology drawing. And this series is going to be very short in the sense that it will only have 3 episodes, and the purpose of this series is to correspond to the 3 smaller scale paintings we did in the previous Monuments in Watercolor series, which include the Pyramid, the Ziggurat, and the Temple Erechtean. And in the previous episode, we envisioned a scene where the ancient Egyptian pharaoh was having a meeting with an intelligent alien being. And in this episode, we are envisioning the legendary king of Uruk, Gilgamesh, sitting in his throne room having a conversation with the goddess Ishtar, who descends from the heaven to seduce him. And I was first introduced to the character Gilgamesh in the popular Japanese anime series Fate Stay Night. And of course, the Japanese artist had to reappropriate the character to fit their aesthetics, which results in a guy who is Caucasian and has blonde hair, etc., which is fairly inaccurate when you take into account of the appropriate accounts of the character. The main reason why I am interested in this character is because he is rather unconventional comparing to the traditional heroic figures such as Hercules or Achilles, in the sense that when we think of the traditional definition of heroic figures, they are predominantly morally virtuous. However, if you read the epic tale of Gilgamesh, before he went on the quests, before he embarked on his adventures, he is a rather tyrant, a despot kind of ruler, in the sense that he is incredibly strong and he has no concern for his subjects, and he just go around bullying people and raping all his female citizens. It was only after he went on his adventure and failed in a bunch of them that he became in touch with his mortality. For instance, he failed to revive his best friend from death, and he also failed to procure a mysterious plant from deep undersea which is supposedly going to grant him immortality. And it was only after he had failed on these 2 very important tasks that, after he came to the city of Uruk empty-handed, that he came to accept his shortcoming, which is his mortality, and became loved and respected by his citizens, because he realized that although he's going to die no matter how, the legacy of his, which is his citizens, are going to live forever. The scene depicted in this drawing captures the moment where King Gilgamesh just came back from his adventure where he just slayed the great beast of the forest called Humbaba, and the goddess Ishtar, because she is so in love with him, descends from the heaven and attempts to talk to Gilgamesh to have sex with her. My emphasis was really focused on to construct a very grand throne room that is worthy of the legendary status of Gilgamesh. And as you can see, I constructed the throne and the grand stairs leading to the throne in the same style as seen in the front of the Sumerian ziggurats. And on either side of the throne, I placed a giant statue of this mythological Assyrian creature who has a man's head, a bull's body, and wings to add more prestige, add more mythological aura to the whole composition. And now let's talk about the painting techniques. I regard the biggest challenge for this drawing to be the construction of the correct perspective, the construction of the correct camera angle. To achieve this, I first started off making a very rough sketch on my iPad and later used the perspective guide functionality to locate the 3 vanishing points. The finer drawing process was done on my desktop with the desktop version of Autodesk's Sketchbook Pro, which is my favorite drawing software. And in total, I spent around 5 hours on this piece. With that said, I'm quite happy with the composition and the value. However, if my ultimate goal is to give the drawing a oil painting aesthetics that a lot of the traditional historic paintings have, then it calls for a lot more man hours, which I don't think is quite necessary for such a project. And that's essentially all I gotta say about this drawing. And now here's a very quick sneak peek of our very last episode of the mythological drawing series, where I envisioned a giant column, a giant pillar sculpted in the shape of Superman to correspond to my Portrait of Maidens painting depicting the Temple Erechtean. And with that said, This has been Architectural Aesthetics. I hope you found this episode to be entertaining, and I will see all of you in the next week's videos. Bye bye.